Hello, my name's Scott Vesey. I'm the lead VMware instructor for Global Knowledge in the UK. I just wanted to spend a few minutes today talking about desktop virtualization. Now, a lot of organizations have already got implementations of desktop virtualization, and many more customers, many more organizations out there are considering desktop virtualization. I just wanted to spend a couple of minutes talking about maybe what desktop virtualization is at a sort of fundamental level, a sort of 10,000 foot level. And then I also wanted to explain why I feel that, that the next 12 to 18 months will be a big time for desktop virtualization. So generally the market refers to desktop virtualization as VDI, virtual desktop infrastructure. The whole idea of desktop virtualization is to provide end users with access to a desktop which is hosted inside a virtual machine, hosted in a corporate data center. Okay, not necessarily a corporate data center. It might well be that, we're talking about students accessing a virtual desktop at a university, for instance. The key aspect really behind desktop virtualization, the key sort of fundamental things. Well, number one is if it is in a corporate environment, any data that users save is saved within the data center. So it's not necessarily saved locally on their PC. Their PC is just used as an access device to the virtual desktop and to the applications running inside that virtual desktop. If you're thinking maybe about an educational establishment, maybe a college, maybe a university or something like that, students can provide their own hardware. Yeah, a lot of students will have their own laptops. A lot of parents will buy students laptops, or they'll have access to computers in the library or in computing suites dotted around the campus perhaps, or something like that. And again, it means that we have independence between the actual physical device that they're using at the time, whether it's owned by the organization or whether it's owned by the individual, and the actual desktop that they're gaining access to and the applications and data that they're gaining access to. There's even cases in the States, there's even companies in the US that no longer supply laptop or desktop PCs to new employees. What they do instead is they actually expect the employee to provide their own hardware. The company might give them, a check for a few $100 or $1,000 or so to actually purchase some if they don't have any. So the other aspect of desktop virtualization that I wanted to discuss was just around why I think the next 12 to 18 months will be a big period in the life of VDI. There's a lot of buzz in the industry, there's a lot of buzz within vendors, there's a lot of vendors competing in this market space. It's not just VMware, which is what I specialize in. You've got organizations like Citrix and Microsoft as well, and many, many others. The next 12 to 18 months is probably going to be the biggest time in desktop virtualization so far. And I think there's two fundamental reasons why. One of them is the fact that potentially over the last couple of years, with the economic climate over the last sort of 12 to 18 months, a lot of organizations are due a hardware refresh. When you're due a hardware refresh, it's an opportunity for you to look to re-engineer the way you deliver a desktop or the way you deliver applications. And I know from talking to a lot of customers that a lot more organizations are looking at re-engineering their desktop to run in a virtualized manner, to run in a VDI. Okay. The other big aspect of this, I think, is a definite factor, is the release of Windows 7. It doesn't take a genius. You just look at the market and you look at a lot of the noise around things like Windows Vista to know that Windows Vista has never really done what Microsoft wanted it to do. It might well have done in the home space, on home users' PCs, but it's never really done it massively in the corporate space. So there's an awful lot of corporates out there that are still using Windows XP. Yours might be one of them. An awful lot of organizations out there that are still using Windows XP on the local desktop. So whether your organization is looking at doing a hardware refresh, I would imagine that your organization is looking at Windows 7. It's not going to be too long now before mainstream support for Windows XP retires. It was released back in 2002. We're 8 years away from that now. We're 8 years past that now. And Microsoft support lifecycle dictates that, they're not going to support it forevermore. There's going to come a point where that mainstream support ends. So a lot of organizations will look at Windows 7 as a replacement to roll out as a direct replacement for Windows XP. So again, re-engineering the desktop infrastructure at that point in time over the next maybe 12 to 18 months, VDI is definitely something that a lot of organisations would consider. Thank you very much for your time.